Hey everybody, how you doing? I just finished watching The Last Dance, uh, the third version of this story as told by ESPN about the Chicago Bulls glory years with Michael Jordan. So it's supposed to be a documentary about Michael Jordan and the Bulls, right? But you know, when I watched it this time, I came away thinking, what I'm watching isn't really that. Most of this episode of The Last Dance, and really it's been true for the others, but more so this time, and I thought it was really insidious, was spent talking about a book that was written about something about negative about Jordan, ostensibly based on something Horace Grant said that he says he didn't say, by a white male media writer that few people in the country really had ever heard of then, and pretty much no one has ever heard of today. If I want a real documentary about the Bulls and Jordan, I want to hear it from people that weren't around in the obvious spotlight. I don't want to hear about people who are trying to rehash their glory gained by writing negative things about Michael Jordan. I would rather hear from neighbors, relatives, friends from high school, friends from college, people who give and can give insights that you would never have gotten before. But this stuff was a complete waste of time. It didn't tell me anything new. It just brought me back to stuff I'd heard about, thoughts I had had about what I heard about then that were caused to be regurgitated today. It was insulting. And it provides one more example of why there needs to be a healthy media done through an African American lens. Because otherwise, what we get are these really insulting stories, two of them in this instance, about not just a fellow with, I believe it was Chicago Tribune, who wrote a book about Jordan, but then this fellow who was gambling with Michael who wrote about him. Why do I want to know about that? Why do I need to be reminded about how the overarching, predominantly Caucasian society saw Michael Jordan at the time? That's wrong. It tells me nothing new. And it's easy research to do. Well, you just hunt the internet and look for this thing, or you go through the archives and you get that. You get a few pictures here, get a few pictures there, a few comments here, a few comments there, and voila, there you are. I'm not a person who calls himself a journalist. I'm a blogger and a vlogger. And I call myself that because there's a different rule of engagement, a different approach that comes with that. This was dishonest. It was incomplete. It was insulting. And it was racist. It had a undercurrent of racism that you could quite easily dredge up with a shovel. And then it's self-serving to ESPN because if you happen to look at the Google results for this, right? Boom, what do you see with ESPN first results? First two, okay? The Last Dance episodes 5 and 6. How to watch and stream ESPN's event, right? Now, if somebody like me had written that, was, oh, you're promoting your own blog, but it's okay for them to promote it, right? I don't care that there is a double standard. I care that people allow double standards to exist. In other words, There should be no criticism about what I do with my media company if you're going to allow ESPN to do the same thing. Bad. Bad. And let's click on more for The Last Dance here. Okay. And look at these takes. Michael Jordan insists, this is the New York Post, he never had a gambling problem in The Last Dance. He said the same thing then too. Why do I need to be reminded of that? Nothing new. Yahoo Sports, surreal, chills, and haunting. No one was ready for Kobe Bryant's appearance in The Last Dance. Okay. I agree, but it wasn't the story. It'd been nice if that was the whole story. The Last Dance, episodes 5 and 6, right? The Last Dance. Why was old name Isaiah Thomas left off the 92 Olympic Dream Team? I remember that. The Last Dance documentary, Michael Jordan's Atlantic City gambling, Kobe connection among key takeaways. The key takeaway for me is this is old news, rehashed. Okay? It's ridiculous. All right? The Last Dance recap, a competition problem. You know? So, the Kobe Bryant appearance was, yes, heartbreaking, to be sure. Absolutely. But it would do justice to a lot more people if the corporation that produced this really gave us a true background of where these folks came from, what their motivations were, how they thought as black men at the time, okay? How black athletes were treated, all right? None of that is in this. And we've come so far that to produce pap like that today is nothing short of irresponsible. Everyone has a story. And we are at the point in society where that story can be told without the need to leave out race. However, there are people who do it. Oh, because these folks don't want to hear it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The simple fact is this: if you have a background that's Russian, Serbian, Japanese, Chinese, you're going to tell your background. Therefore, if a person has a background that's African American, they should have the right to tell that background, and you should want to hear that background too. Period. End of story. No double standards. None. With The Last Dance, we get double standards up the yin yang, and it's tiresome here. Black athletes who have the money to steer toward media, like LeBron James, should be at the forefront of constructing a media that tells their stories in the proper way. The Undefeated is a nice start. I like The Undefeated. No criticism there. But the simple fact of the matter is we don't have a ring of African-American owned media. The Undefeated is over here. Celebrity is over there. Zenny 62 Media is over here, and so on. There aren't a lot of us, but there should be. Okay, there should be. And among the print organizations, those are dwindling because many of them are not tech oriented, but that's a whole other story. And I don't want to get off the topic much. The simple fact of the matter is there's a better way a more fun way, I think, to tell the Chicago Bulls story. That's also inclusive. When I say African American, from African American lens, I don't mean exclusive. Okay. But I do mean a lens that doesn't put up these writers as if they are like these stars and you've never heard of them. And the tableau is, hey, it's like these non-athletic white guys that are getting rich off these athletic black guys. Or gaining notoriety off of them, right? It's like, it's not, there's nothing fun about it. And they're doing so, writing negative things about it. Nothing fun. It's not like my buddy Mike Silver went to Cal with, who went and partied with Dennis Rodman and gave us a view of Dennis Rodman that we normally would not have had. That's a documentary. That's good work. That's from another lens. We don't get that other lens with what ESPN did. Nothing. In fact, they completely ignore what Michael did. Sad. What he did was path-breaking work. Gives me an idea. So I'm saying, and I'm closing out here, I'm very disappointed with The Last Dance. I'll keep watching it, though. I'll keep hoping for the better. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. Thanks.